Hello, everybody. Good to be with you. So I've got a cold over here, so you're probably going to hear some coughing and sneezing and all that kind of stuff. But it's either we listen to that, we hear that, or we just don't hear anything at all. So I'm going to go ahead and try to cut this thing. So I wanted to talk to you about the concept of your future awakening, because I know that many, or your future reawakening, either one, because many of you are waiting for that time when you have your future, your awakening, or you have your reawakening. And it always feels like it's coming pretty soon, doesn't it? I mean, it seems like it's coming really soon. Like I'm just missing this much, right? I just get this one last little thing to fall into place and I'll have the Rubik's Cube. And I just wanted to tell you that it doesn't work like that. And that if you have a story of future awakening, if you're not awake to your true nature right this minute, and you're watching this video, you've got a story of future awakening or future reawakening is the problem. So there can't be an awakening in the future because there's no future. And this is not news for many of you, but there really is. But what you don't know is what that really means. When we say there's no future, if we were to subtract the future and subtract the past, what have you got left? Well, we got this moment, don't we? And this moment doesn't even make any sense as a sentence when there's no other moment. See, we think this is one moment among many, but it's not. There's just this one moment, because moment's the wrong word for it. We just don't have a right word for it, but moment places it clearly in time. There's the past, there's the future, and there's this moment, there's the present. There is presence, but there's no actual present. There's this living presence right now, or not. And awakening, I talk a lot about the clearing process, but I don't ever want it to be thought of that that there's no happening, that it's not, that there's no event, but the event may or may not be noticeable. Quite a famous spiritual teacher told me directly that he had not had a moment, he had not had an event, that he only saw it looking backwards. And I have to tell you that same thing didn't occur with me with awakening, but it did occur with me moving into stability, is that life just became this way, and I didn't, it wasn't like as opposed to the other way that I used to be. There wasn't even recognition of that. There's just this as it is. So the thing is that the initial awakening can be very, very subtle. You know, I just put up a note from the field on the website, which Gary has woken up, like my colleague, Gary Crowley, who teaches with me now. Go to the website, you'll see about him. There's a nice plug. But Gary has woken up like 3 people in the last week. And the testimonials have been quite different. The one yesterday was really lovely. And I loved the last line of it. And I loved it because it's so subtle. It's like, almost like the guy's begrudging declaring that awakening occurred, but he's not. He's just telling you that because the last line of his letter says that this subtle shift, while something to the effect of, while almost imperceptible, changes everything without changing anything. And that sentence was uttered by an awake being. An unawakened being would just not come up with that. It just wouldn't. But an awakened being can come up with that. And so what he's saying is that it wasn't you know, a big, like Guns N' Roses, Angels and Trumpets thing. There was just the seeing of the truth, which is, it's really the seeing being of the truth, but we can call it the seeing of the truth. There's just this experience. There's a new perception. It's not like a big shift for the character. It can be, but most often it's not a big shift for the character. It's just awakeness itself, which is what wakes up. It's awakeness itself coming to recognize the subtlety of its own existence. It's awakeness coming to recognize awakeness, which then we call that conscious awakeness, or I do. I call it conscious awakeness. So the shift is really only that of it. There's nothing but awakeness. So the shift really is simply moving from unconscious awakeness to conscious awakeness. And it's not Bob or Carol or Sue who's doing that. It's awakeness that's moving from being unconscious awakeness to experiencing unconscious awakeness to experiencing conscious awakeness. And I don't want to make it sound like there's an entity there that experiences consciousness awakeness the way that this unit might declare itself experiencing rain. It's not like that, because there's no entity there. But we use these terms not because they're true, but because they're useful. There's nothing that I can actually tell you that's true. Most of you know that. But there's plenty that I can tell you that's useful. And one of the things that I want to tell you that is useful is that your idea of a future awakening is preposterous, and it's never going to happen. Never. When you don't have a future, can anything occur in a future? When did it have to occur? We'll use the word now. Not really sure what that means. What? Because you're not living in the now. You are the now. You are the nowness of now. You are the here-ness of here. And you are that by which, you are that by which experiencing occurs. And this unit is that through which experiencing occurs. Because upon the birth of this unit, and yours, and every other one, whether it's a dog or a cat or a flea, there is the birth of consciousness. There is the apparent birth. There's not really a birth, but there's the apparent birth of an observer. But really, there's just the birth of observing. And there's not really the birth of that. It's just moving from unconscious to conscious. But we still use these words: the birth of consciousness, the birth of Fred, the birth of children, the birth of the second we call waking up, twice born or something like that. It happens right this minute. So why don't you wake up with me right now? Why don't you just quit putting it off? So yeah, and you don't have to wake up with me right now because you're already awake. You're already awake with me right now. But if you think I'm talking to a unit that's watching this on a computer screen, then you're missing the point entirely. I'm talking to myself. That's the only thing I can talk to. I have no other talk mate available. And I have to recognize that there's nothing else available. So if right now, if this, no future, no past, just this was to pay attention right now to attention, and not what attention is the content of attention, but to the attention itself. Because that's what we do. We get lost in the content. We pay no attention to attention. It's this attention right here, right now. And it's this ordinary attention. It's this everyday attention. It's this I take it for granted attention. That's the fabled awakeness. This attention doesn't occur within awakeness. This attention is a, I don't know how else to put it, but a manifestation of awakeness. And I say it's a manifestation because this attention occurs within the dream. The attention itself is not the dream. Your dream over here, for instance, just as the way of speaking, your dream over here for just over 50 years was that you were afraid. And boy, did you know that, and you believed it. You really went for it. And you were very, very interested in Fred, and quite frankly, there's still an interest in the well-being of this body, and it's got its own preferences. It likes pleasure, it doesn't like pain, right? It prefers nice cars over poor ones, but none of that matters. None of that. Those are not like cravings that have to be answered. Some of them are being answered, and that's great. But the ones that aren't, that's okay. Because I have no expectations of this moment. I have no expectation of reaching a higher consciousness. That's just a term, and it's a misleading term. Doesn't mean that I won't ever use it, because it may, in a certain situation, it may be a useful term, and I will use whatever is useful to that person at that time in that place. But there's no universal. There's nothing I can just like dispense universally that's going to that is necessarily going to be, there's nothing universal that will work for everybody at every moment in every place. So I'm thinking that this will reach you. That's the reason that I'm talking today. That's the reason that this happening is taking place. It's really happening because it can't not. But in the unit's way of the character's way of justification and all of that, and cause and effect, then it feels like that this is happening because it does think it's going to reach you. Thinking doesn't even come into it. But I've got no other way to put it. So that we'll just use that as another skillful means again. This can reach you right now. You can wake up right now if you just recognize that you're already awake. What is it? What is it that I'm calling awake? Let's do some math here for just a minute. What you've probably heard a zillion times is that you are not the body. Is that right? You've heard that, haven't you? You're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not this, that, and the other. So let's just look at that. Let's just take that apart for just a minute. Unpack it. So if you truly are not the body, and I mean, you don't have to believe me about this, but you need to just probably get the hell out of non-duality if you don't, because I mean, it's been preached to you by everybody that every teacher since time began. And so if you're not the body, and you're not, and these thoughts that occur are not yours, they're not your thoughts. One of my students, a philosophy professor, sent me a link this morning to an article. It's in Scientific American. I guess it's now, but at any rate, the link was current. And it's talks about, you know, that conscious thought and free will and all of that is just totally illusory, completely illusory. And he has a very good argument for it, but I don't even need his argument for it. I like his argument because he agrees with me. See, and people who agree with me are right. People that don't agree with me, they're wrong. What do they know? If you're not the body and you're not the mind, what's left? You're not the body. You're not the mind. What's left? Do you notice how your attention has always been your looking tool? I'm speaking to awakeness now. That's the only thing I can speak to ever. So awakeness, what has been your looking tool? Whether you're looking for that unit's thoughts, or you're looking for that unit's keys, or you're looking for that quote unit's true nature. What's always your looking tool? It's your attention, isn't it? Yeah, it's your attention. That's what we look for things with. We put our attention on it. Put my attention on something new. I'm looking for something with my attention. And when I find it, it's in my attention. And when I don't, it's in my attention because it's on my mind, but it's not necessarily physically in front of me. So what is your looking tool? Let's look at that. What is attention? Would you agree with me, perhaps, that a decent definition of attention is focused awareness? I've never had anybody that would go against that decent definition. You may, but you're in a very small club. It's clearly attention is our looking tool. Now, but attention is focused awareness, isn't it? So if you're looking for a higher awareness, what are you looking for that higher awareness with? You're looking for it with your looking tool. You, awakeness, are looking for, are using your attention to look for what? Awakeness. So don't minute. So let's do that math now. Awakeness is utilizing attention, which is focused. Let's go with awareness. Awareness is looking for its true nature with its looking tool, which is its attention, which is awareness, focused awareness. So let's look at this loop. Awareness is looking for awareness, isn't it? Deny that. Try to deny that right now. You can't do it. You cannot do it. Awakeness is looking for awakeness. It's that simple. So let me ask you this. If I'm awakeness and I'm looking for awakeness, what's the likelihood that I'm going to find awakeness? Out there. Because that's what we're looking, isn't it? We're looking out there, we're looking over there, we're looking anywhere but where? But backwards, but here. We're not looking here. Because we don't think this is it. Well, how many times have you read it? How many book titles have you seen with it? How many times you heard me say it, that this is it? I mean, do you think we're all lying? I mean, what if we were telling you the truth that this is it? So if this was it, there'd be no other higher awareness out there. There'd just be a noticing of the awareness that's always present, which is the only awareness there is. So whose awareness would it be? Well, awareness is not owned. It's not anybody's awareness. You don't have awareness. Awareness has got you. That's the way it works. Awareness has got you. This is it. And the same attention, the attention that's hearing these words, that's it. The awakeness that is speaking these words, that's it. See, there's only it. This is not Fred Davis, spiritual unteacher, talking to you about this. This is it. It's not talking to you about it. This is it. There's no me, there's no you. There's an experience of a me and a you that's experienced by that same common awakeness that is common to every sentient being. It's also quasi-experienced. I don't know how it works, but everything is consciousness. I know that everything is. There's only awakeness, but there's awakeness that can be attentive and aware, and there's awakeness that is attentive and aware on some other plane, like trees and plants and the ocean, whatever, the moon. Who knows? But there's only awakeness. There's form and there's emptiness, and there's no difference, because you can't actually eradicate energy. And what is form? It's stored energy. You can't eradicate that. You can transfer it or you can transmute it, but you cannot do away with it. You can't destroy it. And since this very awakeness right now is the awakeness that you're looking for, why don't you quit looking for it and start using it? Stop looking for awareness and start looking from awareness. Because I'm talking to the very awakeness that's talking. Because there's nothing else I can talk to. There's only this. There's only this as it is right now, and you happen to be this right now, the thisness of this, the here-ness of here, the now-ness of now. That's what you are. That you are that by which this video is being cut. You're what's cutting it. You're what's listening to it. You are the website that I will upload this to, right? YouTube. You are YouTube. And there is no YouTube all at the same time. You don't need to make sense of that. I can't make sense out of that. I know that you very much want to understand it, but just so you know, I don't understand it. And, you know, it's rumored that there's some insight over here. Hell of a lot of people are paying for it, whether there's insight here or not. But I think that even I have to assume that there is some. It's not inside here. It's not Fred's. But it's available. Just like in satsang, when a question is asked, I don't go for the answer. There's just a response. And if it's not Fred's response, it's awakeness's response. It's coming through a Fred unit, so don't think it's pure. It's not pure. It's going to be altered. This talk is altered. This talk is not the truth. But it's very damn close. It's close enough to be extremely useful if you will pay attention to what attention is doing here right now. Pay attention to attention. I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that this video is something that you could listen to multiple times and gain something every time. Well, I say multiple times, but of course there's just now. But it'll feel like, within the dream, it'll feel like multiple times. Within the dream, it'll feel like you're going back and back to YouTube and you're going back to this video and you're listening over and over again, but you are not. That's not what's actually happening, but that is what's happening within the dream. Don't try to understand it, just do it. This is awakeness inviting awakeness to notice that it's already awakeness. Right here, right now. There's no delay. It's not right around the corner. It's not going to be here very soon. You're not missing a damn thing. You're missing nothing. There is no information, certainly no further information that you need in order to wake up. There really isn't. Just listen to this until you get it. And who am I talking to? I'm talking to myself. Because there's no student here, there's no teacher here. There's just teaching, but no one's doing it and no one's getting it. That's the truth. No one's doing it, no one's getting it. It's just happening. So join in the happening. That's what it's going to feel like. Trust this language because it's true enough to get you where you want to go. Although you're already there, so it's a very short journey. Thanks a lot. See you later. Bye-bye now.